What is a project management? Let's start with the basic, we'll just brush up our basics. So when we talk about the project management, we have all been there. The project seems to be going along fine, although if we are completely honest that it is failing a bit, and also mentally just we don't keep a extra, because it's not humanly possible that we can keep track of each and every single item, but mentally keeping track of all those little items that you need to make sure get done. Then the client calls with a set of changes. It's a dynamic world. So project management becomes very heavy because of these changes. Because if it is just a straight set of requirement, project management is very easy. You're excited as you think they are getting it, and so you get stuck in straight away. A week later, you're dreading that how it's going. You call because you have no idea anymore. You're lost amid or in this whole delivery. You need project management. So basically, why we need this whole field project management? We can just get the client requirement, and I'm talking especially about the software part of it. Like if you are making a software a product, so just we can take a client call, we can make it we can just work on the design, we can deliver it. It doesn't happen because of the changes, whether it is in the software or also when it comes to the manufacturing. We have, when it comes to the different domains, we have different issues when it comes to each domain. So that's why you need a project management. So when it comes to the project management, it definitely, all of us are aware, we have to balance time, scope, quality and cost. So when it comes to an official definition of project management as per PMI, it defines the term as the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. That means you're applying these tools, skills, and to achieve your project goals. That's what a project manager does. A more tangible description is that project management is everything you need to make a project happen on time and within budget, within the and also deliver within the scope and the needed scope and quality. So when it comes to time and budget, so and also the scope and the quality, the time and budget, I'm sure all of you are aware what is the time and budget, right? The time and budget, like let's use this arrow. So time, when we can't talk about the time, that means the client says that you deliver within this time, you have to deliver. Is it that simple? In practical scenario, you trust me, I have handled projects wherein whenever the date is given by the client, at that time I never had that right resources to with the same skill sets to deliver the project. So that's why the project management becomes complex, right? And then the scope. Is it the scope always remain? The requirements always remains the same? No. And quality is altogether a different issues, because nowadays the all of the organization are facing quality, because when we have to balance the time and scope, most of the projects nowadays are driven by the clients because of the high competition. And when the sales or the BD team bids the project, though, so the timeline is very tight. They required project very early. So at that kind of TIFF, the quality becomes an issue, because at that time to get that kind of resources and deliver, it becomes really difficult. And cost is of course the budget within, so that you are delivering a profitable project to your organization gets profit out of it. So when we talk about the scope, it refers to the list of deliverables or features that have been agreed. These are the features. For example, you are delivering a ERP program. Then the client can agree that I need these transaction, I need these transaction screen, I need these kind of features in the interface, so which is helpful for the user. So when we talk about the quality again, and there are now the organizations are more, they are moving towards a lot of certification like ISO and CMMI, so that there are external audits, so that when the product or the services given to the client, or whether we talk about the FMCG, because ISO applies for all the field, so they are going towards these certification, these documentation, so that we as an organization are following certain standards and also delivering high quality product or service to the client. So when we talk about the four different parameters, the balance is must. There are a inter a relationship we should know as a project manager, and the balance is a must. But when it comes to the actual implementation part of it, I know the balance becomes very, very difficult, because either I can give you a case study from my example. Like, I have handled a project, ERP project, where it has been a complete, it has to, we have to just scrap up the old framework which was in the obsolete technology as an IT project manager, and I have to build a new framework and deliver the whole complete application. So the problem with that was that the deadline was given by the client. So in this situation, the time was fixed, and delivering that kind of quality, cost, and all those parameters becomes very difficult, because in that particular time you have to just find out a right team, and then work upon it, and also you have to see that you're not overshooting the budget of the project. So these constraints that I am sure all of us would have faced in some or the other projects, we'll see how to handle these with expert project management. Then comes the understanding the project life cycle. The generic project life cycle is fairly simple. When we say that we are following the SDLC, it is planning, then there is part of it's just, I'm just keeping it simple. It's not yeah, PMI has different phases, but here as a general project life cycle which is followed in every company or any small companies, if we follow CMI or not, if we follow ISO or not, it has a three phases. One is you plan, then you definitely execute it, and the controlling is kind of, if it is moved to a support or execution, the controlling comes into place. So basically it starts with an initiating, then planning, then executing, then controlling, and then it goes to the closing phase. Most people spend most of the time working in the executing and controlling phases, actually doing the task, building the product, and making sure everything is on track. Because if you execution is very, very important, that we will see later, where that's how in execution, as a project manager, in the execution, you have to when it comes to the expert project management, if you see all the successful project managers who have delivered good amount of successful project, definitely they will have one or two failure projects, but when we see about a successful project managers in any organization, then they definitely know how well to execute a project, because there only your major times goes in, and in those phases you are no more an expert project manager knows that he or she has to display the leadership abilities. It is no more just you just call somebody and just assign the work and it gets executed. It never happens, because trust me, we are dealing with people. We are not just dealing with the stationary resources. So when it comes to the, we need to understand the project life cycle. Why? Because where we are going to be, because many organization have many project managers in one project. So they may not involve you in execution, they may ask you to control track the project. So you need to understand in the project life cycle, what is the project life cycle of your project, and where your contribution is, and where you want to where you are going to spend most of your time. And then comes identifying stakeholders and getting things done. It is really a very, very important part. I won't say that it is a basic of project management. I will say that these two parameters are the building blocks of the project management, because you are managing a project, and definitely if you are managing a project, right? So you think about, I'm just giving you an example. Whatever organization you are in a bigger organization, you are in a smaller organization, you are handling a small project or big project, you just think about it. I'll just ask you a question and think about just do a mind map that, like, when we come to definitely when it comes to project management, at some point of time maybe you have lot listed in the Excel, but at some point of time you would have been identifying stakeholders, because here's what the main job of a project manager is. Like, you need to see, there are you might, if it is a big project, it becomes a very complicated situation, because you will have many stakeholders. Then you have to prioritize, you have to section, like this is how the communication will flow. Like, I will talk to these top peoples, where I will, you have certain set of conversation, and also you will gauge their expectations. And maybe your team members, your team leads will talk to certain set of clients. So these kind of identifying stakeholders. And also I'm saying it is very important, because as a project manager, nowadays all the organization, whether small or big, they want you to get more business to the company through the project you are handling. So it can happen that you are dealing with one client, and in the same organization, they have the potential, if you are delivering very good quality product, that they will give you more project. So that's why the identifying stakeholders and managing the stakeholders are definitely the basic and building blocks of the project management. And definitely then comes getting things done. I'm sure, like, if you don't want to lead a project, or if you don't like to, if you don't know how to get things done, then I don't think we can become a good manager, because this is a basic requirement, that you need to understand others, you need to grow up them, treat you should be like a mentor to them. And then when the people, because at the end, people will see what is there for them, if they deliver a project, whether they will get promoted, or all these things. There are little motivation factors also which comes into the picture. So when it comes to the getting things done, or the then that is also a basic primary skill of a project manager.